So I've been playing a lot of the NSane Trilogy lately, and I finally sunk enough time in to get everything out of it I can. The remake is pretty good. The remake is a pretty good romp through some nostalgia-filled levels that have mostly stood the test of time. The original games have aged well besides a few questionable decisions that probably felt like good ideas back in the day, but now feel kind of iffy. But other than that, I enjoyed the games. But after spending so long with the remake, there are a lot of good points and a lot of bad points. Some are very small and nitpicky to hell and back, but I'm still going to complain about them anyways. So starting with the graphics seems like a pretty good place to jump in, considering that this game has mostly been marketed by showing the differences between the new and the old graphics. Compared to what the game used to look like, it's very easy to see the progress that's been made over the last few decades. The game has dropped dead gorgeous at points, with the art style that they went with showing off lots of bright colours and textures that have a really nice feel to them. And with the game running at 1440p on the PS4 Pro, which is the version that I played with, it's very nice. There were a few times when the colours felt a little washed out, like in the jungle levels in Crash 2, but that's just me in all honesty. However, while the backgrounds look pretty, some of the enemies at some points leave a little bit desired. Like the gorillas in Crash 2, which look just a little bit off. I don't know what to say, but they sit dead in the uncanny valley, which makes me very uncomfortable. Also, the game, while running at 1440p, is only running at 30 FPS, which is a bit of a letdown, and seems to cause input lag when you're running the time trials. While 1440p is good and all, I would have preferred that the game either run at 1080p 60 FPS for that smoothness, or at 4K with a slight downgrade with visuals so that the upscaling wouldn't have to be done. Crash's animations bug me a bit as well, with some of the old death animations either being changed or gone entirely from the originals. Some of these are fine, some are not. Coco was added as a playable character, which is nice and all, and something I wanted for the update. However, she does bother me because to play as her, you need to spend time in-game to get to where you can unlock her, and when you do, you can only play as her in most levels. I don't understand why you can't play as her instead at boss levels or in the hog or polar levels, because those animations would only have to be tweaked slightly to fit her model, so it just feels kind of lazy, if I'm being honest. It's still an easy issue to look past, so I can live with it, and I would still say that the game looks gorgeous even with these few rough edges. What I can't look past, however, is the changes that they did to Crash and his movement mechanics. From what I understand, it's to make Crash control the same over all three games to keep it easier for new players to grasp how Crash controls. This is fine in the base game, but there are times, particularly when doing time trials, that the changes to Crash jump arc and the size of his hitbox make things excessively difficult. The level design does not help this either, with Crash 3 being the exception considering its excellent level design, except for those damn Luftwaffe levels, while the other two are just a pain in the ass. The speed that some levels is needed to get through at times is just ridiculous, and require you to literally break the game's physics to even have a chance to beat them. This is compounded on by there being very little consistency in how the times for the relics were divvied up. There are some levels that I could get the Platinum relic on with 4 or 5 seconds left over, but others I could barely get gold, and that's with spending a few hours on it and just saying damn it and doing something else. If anything in the game is changed at all, I hope it's that they remove those damn pigs in the high road, and adjust the times for some of the levels, especially for the ones in Crash 1. But like the small issues with the graphics, I could deal with all of this if it wasn't for a few more issues that I have with the game. Coco's speeded levels in this version of the game are quite frankly terrible, which in all honesty they were in the originals, but they made it worse here. The new version of the controls is so damn floaty that controlling Coco can be damn near impossible at times. In the regular levels it's a little bit annoying, but in the secret level it is just the worst. The ice levels also continue to be literal garbage, which they were already, being one of my least favourite parts of the second game, somehow got worse. If you want an image of how you control on these levels, think about Crash's already somewhat tanky control scheme that he had now, and add momentum that for whatever reason keeps projecting you forward when he jumps, after coming to a complete stop. It makes it hard to get through these levels, and God help you if you don't have the more than 20 plus lives going to one of the secret passes in the snow go. It's another case of the game being handicapped to fix an issue that would have been fine if they left it as it is, which is extremely disappointing. The gameplay changes are really my biggest issue with all of this. If they kept Crash's movement different from 1, and left 2 and 3 the same, it would have been fine, but they changed it, so that's how I'm going to judge it. If you're just going through a casual playthrough of the game, I think you still get a lot out of it, because there's still quite a bit of game here and the moment-to-moment gameplay is pretty good. Trying to do any of the time trials for anything higher than just the first relics is going to get really frustrating. There are some things that I wish had been tweaked, but considering how long the game has been out and nothing yet, I don't have high hopes. But right now, as it stands, I would still recommend that you pick it up. For the required score, I would probably go with a 6 out of 10. It's pretty good, but the originals I still reckon are better. Except for the new Rither theme. It's trash.